Hello and welcome to another IGN Give This a 7, but is it really though? Today I'm going to be taking a look at Starfield, and if you've just came from the Baldur's Gate video, you're going to get some repeat stuff here, but I can never guarantee who's watched what, so I need to start with a couple of disclaimers. Firstly, I only played this game because Baldur's Gate, one of the greatest games of all time, the final act was completely broken for me and I couldn't play it, and I had 6 weeks waiting of patches to be able to finally play it, so I needed something to do because I didn't know how long the wait was going to be at the time, let alone being 6 weeks. So I ended up being in such an RPG fix, I thought, this is the only thing that's came out recently, so I ended up buying it. So I will never forgive Baldur's Gate for that. The other thing that I need to say, I'm currently blanking on, because this is the second time I've recorded the video. I don't think it's that important because I know fine well it's something that I thought I'd come to naturally, and it would be essentially about the end of the game. Oh yeah, that was it, of course, that was it. My broken brain, and this isn't the reason it's broken, but it's one of them. My broken brain doesn't replay games like this at all. I severely struggle with it. So anything that's like a really long RPG, I love playing through them the first time, sometimes, or most of the time, but at the same time, I'll never play it again, and the only time I've ever tried to play Starfield since rolling credits is the DLC, which it turns out I was actually too low level for, and I played for a couple of things. I thought at least by doing different side quests than I'd done before, then I'd manage to maybe get into it again. But no, I was really just struggling. So yeah, I've only played through the game once, and it turns out I was always destined to fail because I really love Kind of Funny Games and Greg Miller, and I try not to actually mention actual name things because I don't want to ever cause a beef, but I don't think it would in this case. He's literally the reason why I want to start my videos with hello ladies, gentlemen and MBs, and I always end up forgetting to do it, so I've ended up falling into my own thing now. But I really love him and love his passion for this game and fully get it, because it turns out it was really made for people like him who wanted to play through the game over and over and over again. And because I will only ever play this once, it turns out I was always doomed to be fucked over. Essentially doomed to not really enjoy my overall experience. And that is in part as well, going into it, I don't want to say bias towards Western RPGs, I just don't have much love for them. I love Knights of the Republic, Jade Empire, Mass Effect 1, so a lot of the like early BioWare ones, but Oblivion, I put 130 hours into it, one 50-hour file, one 80-hour file, multiple Red Ring of Deaths on the 360. I never got to finish the game. I never started Skyrim because of that, because I wasn't really fully in love with Oblivion anyway. I didn't really vibe with Fallout 3 or New Vegas. I got Fallout 4 and I played about 80 hours of side quests, but I was absolutely despising the main quest. So my goal with getting this was I wanted to, for the first time ever, do a main quest, because maybe my issue with these games is that as much as everyone says they're about the side quests, and apparently especially with this, Starfield, I just wanted to do the main quest. Turns out, yeah, that's also kind of setting me up for failure, because almost all of the main quests are kind of really boring and generic, and just, I haven't played this in years, and I'm going to struggle in the menu here trying to find it, because I'm also currently trying to talk. I think it's those. There we go. These fierce powers. I don't know how many of these actually are supposed to fill out, but this is literally all I got on the power selection from only mainlining the story. This game was just a relatively boring, basic first-person shooter to me that had really good first-person shooter mechanics, to the point of, and this might piss some people off and I might have to do a quick explanation, I eventually finally tried to get into Cyberpunk 2077. I played like 20 hours and I bounced because I was like, this just feels like a worse Starfield. I genuinely don't know what it is about Western RPGs. It might be something as simple as the game's language I don't pick up on. I've played an absolute ton of air games, and I'm pretty good at reading video game language, but with these sorts of genres, I don't think I am. Is my only assumption, because I never got any of the impressive upgrades in Cyberpunk 20 hours in. I was still using the same weapons from the start, so I ended up feeling like, yeah, this is just genuinely, to me, a worse Starfield. And that's not saying that Starfield's amazing or anything, I know that isn't for me. So, yeah. Let's actually get to talking about this game then. And I will also apologise, the footage is going to be terrible. I don't know where I am, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just going to be... I thought I'd at least put something on where I could go to some combat, and I've literally apparently killed the only enemy and now have to find a key someplace, so it is just going to be me wandering around talking, but it is what it is. So, the game starts. The companions, I can't really rave about most of them. I don't even remember most of their names, to be honest, at this moment in time. I liked the character who basically was escaping from a cult and who grew up with a bunch of trauma for reasons that are usually apparent in my videos, that I've also had issues with trauma and things. So I liked her. And that's about it. I can't honestly see it. I remembered anything about most of the characters. I know the first one that you're interacting with, I want to say she's called Sarah, and I wasn't the biggest fan. There's the dad that everyone raves about, that everyone was saying, like, oh, he's like single dad goal type things or something. I'd never really cared for his character, to be honest. The robot, I thought you even managed to do a robot relatively poorly. There wasn't really any of the side characters I got invested in, with the exception of literally the one I picked for my like companion, the one that I managed to rescue off a mountainside that I can't even remember the name of. And sadly, because this is a New Game Plus file, I haven't actually got to that point of meeting them yet. So yeah, it's one of those that these videos are never perfect anyway, but this is the one that I fear might really annoy people who do actually like it. But reminder, this is just my one solo opinion, and I am just one person. And if you do love the game, I fully get it, because after listening to what the New Game Plus is, it does sound like a really cool hook, but at the same time, I'm not going to play through a game over and over and over again like that when there's so much of this to do. I understand a lot of people will be annoyed that I intentionally mainlined it, and I did that essentially because I just wanted to at least be able to roll credits on one Starfield game, and I didn't want to be in the situation I'd just been in with Baldur's Gate, where I couldn't finish something I started. So I thought, if I mainline it, then that's a win-win. And then it turns out, no, by mainlining it, I was actually doing the worst thing possible, because the main quest is pretty awful in this game, and the side quests are really where it's at, so I should have just done those. I don't know why people love this sort of Western RPG genre. It's just definitely not for me. And it might be, as I say, that I can't read the language of them. It might just be that I find the exploration to be kind of pointless, because I know, especially with Starfield, loads of people really complained about how empty the planets were, but it's even in the likes of Fallout and that, I never find anything worth doing off the beaten path, with the exception of like I'm stumbling on a good side quest. It's like usually a case of I spend 10 hours raking and find one thing worth doing in that 10 hours. I just don't feel they reward me for the time that I put into them. So outside of the good combat mechanics in this, to the point of that, as I've already said, I genuinely preferred this to Cyberpunk, because at least I finished this. And I'm talking about Phantom Liberty as well, by the way. Like, I started Cyberpunk. I bought it day one. I kind of actually pre-ordered it and never played it until Phantom Liberty finally came out. And even then, I actually only started it a couple months ago from the time of recording, which this is going to be one of the first times I've recorded things and put them up on the same day, because I wanted to do these two videos together. So I figured now was the good time to do it. And I'm currently essentially waiting on Canada versus France on the Winter Olympics, and thought I actually had some time to do these two videos. So yeah, I know I'm about to die yet again, because I can't even remember how to heal. I literally... Oh, there we go. But graphically, musically, like, the game has a hell of a lot going for it, and I was really, really impressed, knowing fine well that this engine that Bethesda insist on using is absolutely fucking ancient. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the same thing that they do Elder Scrolls with, but at the same time, they've apparently managed to get some pretty good visuals out of it, so they must be doing something right. And then for everything else, they just rely on the fans to actually fix things, because that's another part of my major experience that soured me. And The fact that I had to do so many basic patches just to get things like a field of view slider, and there was so many problems at this game with launch, and I'm glad for a lot of people that it's now a lot better, but I'm trying to decide, and it's why I'm starting to waffle on. The whole point of these videos is, do I say whether or not I agree with IGN? Do I think they're crazy for saying that it was a 7 when it's nowhere near that high, or crazy for saying it's a 7 when it should be higher? I'm trying to decide between it should be lower or it's a 7, because I know I'm not the target audience here. But no one was the target audience, it felt like, when it came out, with the exception of Greg Miller. And I have so many other little minor problems, and ultimately just found the game so fucking forgettable, to the point of I didn't even realise how forgettable until I've started to do this video. And I know it's not that great a video, because there's so much that I just haven't said, but it's because I've just completely forgot it all. And I'm not going to put another 100 hours, as I say, into this game just to be able to make a 10, 20, 30-minute video. So I'm in this situation where I've ended off ranting and raving about different things and trying to just sum up what my thoughts are on the game. It felt like for every single thing that it did really cool, something else was waiting around the corner to really annoy me. It was a game of a constant roller coaster, and even when I got some of the high moments, I can't say there were absolutely amazing highs, because of the fact that I genuinely cannot remember a single mission right now outside of the only two that are kind of sticking. The final mission, and not because I enjoyed it, but because I thought, wow, that was so shitty and just like pathetic, a whimpering end. It's unbelievable. And I remember going to a planet and finding a station that had basically been infested, and it was kind of the whole horror vibes of things. I enjoyed that, and that's about it. When I actually started to play the game again to try to get into the DLC, when I then found out I was too low level to actually be able to do the DLC, I tried going for some of the better known side quests that people were raving about, but by that point, because I didn't need to play this game anymore, because I wasn't desperate for something to do while I was waiting for Baldur's Gate to be fixed, it just never even came close to gripping me. And I even started to realise that as much as, yes, I personally think the shooting mechanics were better in this than in Cyberpunk, and it's why I ended off, at least was able to enjoy it, because it felt like not so much a decent enough RPG, but a decent enough FPS, to be honest, for me to be able to just like whittle away the time. There's so many other better first-person shooters, so why would I ever come back to this one when I could just replay a Borderlands? Not Borderlands 4, obviously. That video will go up later, you'll see. But I'd replay a Borderlands, or replay a Half-Life game for the millionth time. There's just so much about this that screams banal, to the point of that, at the time, I kind of disagreed with IGN's 7 and said that it was probably worse, but then by the time I'd rolled credits, I was like, you know what? Ultimately, I think it is a 7, and I know I'm being too harsh on it. And now, with all of these improvements, and with all of the stuff that they've added in the DLC, to some people, the 7 may definitely be too harsh, but I just can't, for my own sanity, my own reasoning, give this any more than a 7, and I still think I'm being generous by saying I agree with IGN's rating of a 7. Yeah. So, with all of that waffling done, I definitely don't think I would ever recommend this game unless you absolutely adore this genre. If you love Fallouts and Oblivions and stuff like that, then you'll have most likely already played it anyway, to be honest. But that's kind of the only time I could really rave about it. I really, really wish I vibed a lot more with Western RPGs, and eventually I need to play the rest of the Witchers. I was halfway through Witcher 2, I've still never played Witcher 3, and that's one that I know everyone really raves about. But at the same time, I also know that I've still not finished Mass Effect 2 and 3 because of the fact that I wasn't enjoying 2 at all. So my backlog with all of these huge RPGs, I don't know when I'm going to find the time to do them. But yeah, anyway, this is one of the most waffle of all time videos at this moment in time. So I am going to end this now and simply say this has been me, Sky Fellowship, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I might try Elder Scrolls 6, maybe, but at this moment in time, I really don't think Bethesda are a studio for me. Right, bye.